price as well as the security of AWS. Amazon trading up around 4.5% pre-markets.
Hey, Nadja. Patrick, good to see you. Welcome. Let's just get my screen on. Yeah. Okay, very good morning, good afternoon, folks. Hope everyone is doing well. Just had a little bit of a pop-up in the ES on the news that Amazon is signing a $38 billion deal with OpenAI to supply NVIDIA chips. That's just given sentiment a nice little boost. See that sudden rush higher. Just taking a look here, you can see you had those 15-minute buyers trapping those sellers, and we've had a hit up into that value area. Just worth looking at that. Not unreasonable to take a little long if you see price sort of going above this area and sellers getting trapped. So keep an eye on that. Hey, Osho, good to see you. Asan, welcome. Just going to give that a little second on that little flush higher. Got a few things I want to share with you. A euro dollar short I'm in, a dollar Swiss franc long that's got a bit of potential. Some Palantir earnings are coming up as well, which are likely to move markets. So just got a few things to cover. You can see here, first standard deviation holding. Obviously a take profit zone we've just hit. All right, we'll leave that for now. There's nothing obviously setting up, so we'll come back to that later. Okay, what's going on out there? Well, first of all, the markets are opening on a strong note. You can see US equity futures, NASDAQ equity futures are higher. There's been a 6-month bull run in US stocks, and that's set to extend. S&P 500 futures are currently up 0.40%, NASDAQ up 0.66%, and Palantir is due to announce its earnings. You can see here, earnings to come up after the close. That's significant. Palantir is a big AI name. If you take a look at, where is it? Its run up this year, it's had a run up of over 150%. Enormous. It's AI optimism, right? And the focus is going to be results after the close. So just be aware of that, that's coming up. Treasury yields, the big narrative, what's going on for the US. Where are we? Here we are. Those yields just hovered near 4.10%. Gold has sort of eased on that stronger dollar, and the dollar is holding steady. If you take a look at VIX, it's pushing lower. If you look at gold, just sort of off the highs for the session, silver off the highs for the session, and you take a look at the Dixie, you can see here continuing to push higher. We're seeing further downside in euro dollar, which is falling into those. You're long Palantir, shall I keep it open? Oh, that's a great question, Hassan. Where did you get in? 200% in profit. Right. Fantastic, right? Fantastic trade. Earnings have been so far based on what else is going on. AI mania is still very much there. You'd have to say it does make sense to hold it and then see how it goes in. Like, you might lose sort of 20-30% if the earnings come against you, but given the fact you're 200% up, you could easily get another 30-40% on this. Maybe consider it's very hard with this AI hype, because when does the hype when is it overextended? It's impossible really to tell before the event. It's easy afterwards. But at the moment, AI optimism is just relentless. So I'd stay long. You'll make your own decision on that. But if I was 200% up on it and I'd managed to run through that, I think long makes sense. Wow. Oh, that you were long Amazon. Yeah, great. I was long Amazon as well, which is nice. I'm from last week as well with the earnings. So that's a double whammy for us, Nadjam. Very nice. Done. All right, guys, great. Right. I think, Hassan, you get the gold star there for 200%, to be honest. So well done. Let's look at the, I want to look at the seasonals for you. Let's try and make an informed decision, right? That's based on some logic. So here's Palantir Technologies. Right, so the last few earnings periods, average return 8.94%, maximum gains of so 30% last year, in 2023, 40+% this year. So based on the last couple of years, holding it makes sense. And then notice the seasonals, it flattens off at December. So what I'd say, based on the seasonality, the upside, average return nearly 30%, the downside maximum is 22.48%. So here's what I would do, Hassan. I would have your stop to lock in about 175%. So lock in 175% trade, or maybe like 160% if you want to give it a little bit more room. Yeah, and we have the year-end rally, right? And with earnings being so strong, that's not unreasonable to expect that to continue. Now, where is it? Sorry, folks, there's a lot going on here. So with that year-end rally, but it's just notice it flattens out in December. So what it looks like, Hassan, is you've got a really hot seasonal period into the end of November, like average return 8.30% or 27.31% when you start from this area. Oh, because there was a credible run in 2020. That's what it is. So if you let's just take 2020 out. You still average return of 6.78% with a maximum 2024. Look at that, 60%. So based on the seasonality, I think I'd stay long until about November the 30th. And you could also the other one is a trail stops underneath the weekly close. You got a weekly breakout of that high. So you could just say, okay, I'm going to lock in profit here on the weekly chart, right? Because it's trying to break out. You know, if it goes back under there, like, okay, then that's a false break of that area. So you can maybe lock in at about 184, 186, sort of 25%. So I'd lock in about 175%. Does that seem fair enough, Hassan? At least it's logical, which gives potential for upside. And then I would take profit on, like, if you got another 40% or 30% from here, if you've got like 230, 240, that looks like quite a good top take profit area. All right. Great problem to have, Hassan. Lovely. Now, the trade I'm in is euro dollar. Let me show you the logic here. Very similar to a trade from the value area low from last, as we've got that 5737 region here, right? Shorted from that, return to that value area low, went lower. Now, if you look here on the weekly, look at this that we had on the monthly chart. Sorry, the weekly chart. Sidebar break, right? That means this area here, and it's Brian here. No, Brian's. Notice this, when you get the inside bar breaks, those retracement levels are really hot zones. So I call that a hot zone. So I was able to run like a 4-point stop just off that level, right? You can try it 2 or 3 times. So just as I was trying to get up to 4.2, it stalled at 4.1 and entered at 3.5. Took 50% off, and the rest is at break even. And you can see here, just that there. As soon as you get stalling, value area low, obvious reversal point, taken 50% off, right? Nice. Yeah. There's another way into dollar Swiss franc. I'm going to cover that in a minute. Weak inflation data out of Switzerland gave us good upside there. Look at this. This is that single print area, which Najam very helpfully pointed out last week. Right, on the TPO, that's all single prints, that whole zone here. So I took 50% off as I hit that single print area, because is it going to bounce? Is it going to think? Who knows? And now it looks like we're trying to run through this area. Now in the 08, 09, that could just drop. So that's for a hold. So I'm euro dollar short, and that was like a 4-point stop. I wanted to show you guys so you can see what you can do with these tiny stops. Here is, oh, come on, go back there. Now, like I made this was a larger stop than I would have liked. I was trying to get up to the 42, and if I hit the 42, I would have had like a 4-point stop on it. As it stands, this was like, you know, a longer stop. It's now just at break even. I've taken 50% off, and I'm trying to run through that single print. So, okay, can't lose now on that. Now, the dollar Swiss franc makes sense. Najam's pointing it out quite rightly. If you look at the economic calendar, look at the Swiss inflation data. Below markets minimum expectations, below minimum markets expectations, and 4-point stop three times you can attempt it. If you look here, right, on the daily, look at this, Najam. We're just hitting over that swing point, So a major resistance level that we're just breaking through. So here you can see I've got it marked up. You can just have like a 4-point stop. Try 3 times, right? So price goes back to the entry, 8077 long, right? And you've got your stop like 4 points. Try again, stop 4 points, try again up to 3 times. Yeah, really good area. That's where you can sometimes get those little runners, and that's potentially you can get a 4-point stop on and get you can get a run. You can see here, what is it? So there's your 4 points, right? And you've only got to run up to that recent swing point, and that is a reward of 18 to 1, right? And so rather than having a stop like 30, 40 points, just have a 4-point stop, because if it's going to go from there, it'll kiss and go. That will be valid as well for tomorrow if you get a break and close above that area. I'll leave it with you, folks. So we've also got ISM data coming up. Now we've got the US government shutdown. So this is going to be more important. Manufacturing data, particularly the prices paid component. Now, if this prices paid component is hot, 64 plus, if the PMI itself is hot, 51.5 plus, new orders above 50, manufacturing employment index above 50, then that means the Fed's recent communication that a December rate cut is not guaranteed will be reinforced. That means Eurodollar downside and S&P 500 downside probably. Eurodollar downside is the more reliable one because it's dollar strength. That's what it would be. So we're looking at that and looking at interest rate tracker. You can see it's about 70% chance now of a 65% chance of a Fed cut in December. So it's down from about 69, 70. So, you know, strength has got some support there. Right. So with all being said, what do we want to do in the ES today? Had a look around. There's two big areas that are standing out to me. Right. One area of these sellers here, right, at the 6,900. If we stay above the 6,900, then there's a good potential to run up to the 6,915. But I can also see that you have here a really interesting area at the 6,910. You see these buyers there? They got trapped here. And you can see there's a big sell-off there, and they went up to that region. So I'm potentially happy to sell at 6,900. Now sentiment is positive, but I still think you're going to watch out for sellers at the 6,900 because of all these trap buyers there. That's grabbing my attention. As is this higher level up here. Got those buyers there that get trapped. Yeah, but the big chunked tap buyers are up here. 6,921. So keep an eye on that. Also, sellers getting trapped here is important. You see those sellers getting trapped here, price returns, kicks off. If you get these sellers trapped here at the 6,900, that's going to be important. But then watch out for profit. Watch out for sellers coming in at 6,910. It's a bit tricky. I've also seen buying at the 6,884, which is all the way down here. You see these sellers here, 6,884. Let me just have a look. So the 6,878 here. To buy in at the 6,878, also the developing value area from the weekly. So 6,878, yes, happy to buy. And 6,884 as well, which you can see is this region as well, here. But you have to drop down to the 5 to see them. When you drop down to the 5, you see them here, the 6,897. And where else are they? The 6,8, hang on, I'm getting confused here, sorry folks. The 6,878, 6,78. Yeah, sorry, here it is on the 5. The 5 and the 5 here. But that's where they are. So the 6,884. So they're the two areas I like. So watching 6,900 on a close above, you can see that's resisting for now. Also watching for sellers at the 6,910. So they're my kind of areas which I'm looking at. That's my take on things. Okay, folks. Got 12 minutes to the open. So what's grabbing my attention here is those sellers at the 6,910. So I'm happy to sell the 6,910. Neat, with an 8-point stop on. So I will put a sell at the 6,910 with an 8-point stop on at the open. I'm going to wait now to see how we go. All right, but at the open, I'm happy to sell from there. My stop is going to be 8 points, and that's what I'll give it. The delta is positive. Price is moving higher. There's buyers that want to be there. But we've got that value area up here on the hourly chart, on the weekly chart, right? So expecting sellers from 6,910
making about 10 minutes time at the bottom of the hour. We are looking out for the Canadian S&P Global Manufacturing PMI for October. Last time came in at 47.6.
And in fact, I'm happy just to sell at 6,915. I'm happy to have a position in there before the open at 6,915. So I'm just going to put that in 6,915, just one position, and I'm going to have 8-point stop. So that's 6,923 stop. So the initial position, and then see how we go if we do go. 6902. That's possible to buy in from. Right, I'm buying in one position there, the 6902, because this is where those sellers were trapped. So I'm buying in one position there. See, this is where those sellers were trapped. You've got those sellers trapped. So I'm gonna have like an 8-point stop on it. So 6902. I have a stop about 6892 stop, just underneath that VWAP. So I like buying in that. You can see, look, sellers trapped, a lot of them here. That's quite good support. 5 minute, and here we got a bit of support coming up with that standard deviation. Now, do we get anything? Do we start to get some buyers coming against this level? Let's have a look. You can see absorption happening. Okay, a little bit of price moving lower, right? But buyers are coming in on it. So buyers are still building here. I expect buyers to come in here. You can see price moving lower, delta moving higher. That's expecting buyers here. Now we're going back under that 6900, trying to. Is the absorption building? It is. So I'm going to add another position in here. As soon as I start to see some sellers getting trapped, you can see the absorption, price moving lower, delta moving higher. So I just want to see one bunch of sellers getting trapped, and then I'll enter long again. Okay, more absorption. Buyers still buying this.
And next up on the calendar, we are looking out for the S&P Global's manufacturing PMI final estimate in the US. So for the last estimate, that was 52.2.
If these sellers get trapped here, I'm buying it. Got manufacturing ISM data coming out at 3. So just keeping an eye on that. Right, now let's see if buyers come in here. Here we go. On the VWAP. Got to stop just underneath here on that initial position. So here we go. Buyers tried to come in. Right, I'm in again for another position. That's the area. And we've hit that value region, you see. So that's kind of a nice area for potential buyers. And you can see the 15-minute. So you've got all those sellers trapped there. So that's a great area for buying. In fact, I'm just going to add another position here because I just really love that area. And then my stop is going to be really underneath that VWAP here. So my stop is going to be underneath 6,885. Okay, lovely. Just makes sense structurally here. You can see on the 15-minute, all those sellers getting trapped there. And you got sellers trapped here as well. So it's a nice reversal area. He says those sellers are trapped here. Yeah, so a lot of delta really building here. Negative delta. Really want to start to see buyers come in here. Does not look like they're coming in. Structurally, I do still like this area, but we're having a sweep of these buyers underneath the VWAP now, underneath that value area.
Just making it around 6 minutes time, we are looking out for the Bank of England's long-term gilt sale. Auction size is 550 million sterling.
This is my last support area. I'm nearly out here. I'm out of one position, 2 positions, 3, 4, all out. Oh dear. Well, that's a great start to the day, isn't it? So let's have a look at this. That 10 area was the right area for selling, he says now.
Just following the US cash open around 10 minutes ago, US indices, they do open mixed. S&P 500 up around 0.2%, NASDAQ 100 outperforming up 0.75%. Lost 2,000, however, down 0.9%, and that is highlighting some of the poor breadth we are seeing at the open. Majority of the sectors in the red, led by real estate, utilities, and materials. Upside seen in tech and mainly consumer discretionary. Amazon mainly behind that move as it does assign a $38 billion deal with OpenAI to supply NVIDIA chips. In terms of the FX space, the dollar index has extended on last week's gains as the recent prospects of a more hawkish Fed and easing US-China relations continues to add support. In terms of the Swiss franc, that is underperforming in the G10 space following a softer than expected CPI report in October. In terms of treasuries, the curve is generally seeing modest losses, albeit most visibly on the longer end. Updates this morning have included Fed Governor Myron explaining to the media his dissent at last week's FOMC, albeit keep in mind little new was learned from the governor as he continues to cite a softer inflationary outlook than his peers. In terms of the commodity space, crude benchmarks have initially gapped higher following the OPEC Plus meeting on Sunday, but again they continue to fall onto those earlier gains and are currently down by around 10 to 20 cents per barrel on the day.
That is another buy area of the 6878. If you look here on the hourly, you can see got a big chunk of trap sellers there. That does make sense to see some buyers come in and this value area low. So let's see if we get a little bounce there.